Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to be talking about my quarter life crisis. Yes, you heard that correctly. When I was 27, I went through the biggest change of my entire life, and now I'm calling it my quarter life crisis. Looking back, that's exactly what it was. So today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 major lessons I learned after going through my quarter life crisis. These are the things that I wish I knew before I turned 27 when my life flipped upside down. So let's jump right into it. The first lesson is all about your identity. For me, I realized very, very quickly that I could not live outside of my authentic self for very long. And truly, most people can't. And this is why typically people have their midlife crisis in their 50s when they realize they've been living a life that is not true to who they are. Now, I came to this at 27 because of a few things. The first, I went into a career right after graduating law school that absolutely was not for me. I couldn't avoid that. Typically, people go to college, they pick a major that they like, they go into a career that they like, and it works for a good enough while for them to then figure out, okay, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Me, on the other hand, I picked the wrong career from the start. And that made it abundantly clear that I was not living in my truest identity. The second thing that sort of kind of helped was that we were in the middle of a pandemic. I turned 27 in 2020. And as you all know, it was a crazy time. But it was really good for me because it was the first time that I was able to be alone, be in quiet, and not have all of the hectic hustle and bustle things that were kind of pushing me along for the few years prior. So with those two things, I think it was very easy for me to realize that I was completely living out of alignment. I was faking my identity. I was not living with who I truly wanted to be. And that was eating me up inside. And I could only do that for so long. And it just so happened that everything came together for me to figure it out in 2020. So, like I said, you cannot live in an identity that is not for you for very long. Typically, this happens to people when they're like 50 or 60. They realize they've been living a life that just no longer suits them and they're ready to be and do something else. That was me, but when I was 27. Now, I'm very grateful that I figured that out quite early because now I'm 30 and I'm just like starting over in life, basically. But the biggest thing there was I had to take time to figure out who the hell I was and what the hell I wanted. And I had never had the time prior to 2020 to do that. Lesson number 2, your thoughts create your reality. Now, I know this sounds a little woo-woo, but let me break it down for you. Basically, every single day you have thousands and thousands of thoughts, but some of those thoughts you've been thinking for years. Those thoughts have been with you since you were a teenager, since you were a child, and they have been running on autopilot. So I'll give you a silly example. For me, I've been telling myself since I was in the 4th grade that I am bad at math. Whenever it comes to math, I back away. I don't want anything to do with it. So guess what? Now, when I go to a restaurant and it's time to calculate the bill, I don't even try. I don't even pretend. I'll either get my calculator out immediately or I'll ask someone else at the table. So what does that mean? I'm literally never doing math. I don't approach it. I don't try it. I don't test it out because I've been telling myself for my entire life that I'm bad at math. Now, math is something you can learn. I took calculus. I can do math, but my core belief is I'm bad at it, so I'm not going to try. But just imagine that on something way different. Like, I'm not good at making friends. I'm lazy. I'm never on time. I'm never good enough. You've been repeating thoughts like that over and over and over. And not only have you been thinking them, you've been living through them. Imagine you're a person who thinks, I'm not good at making friends. So you isolate, you never go out to meet people, you don't network, you don't put yourself out there. And then guess what? You never make friends. You're just creating the reality through that thought. That's what I mean. So the way that I think about this is I compare my mind to a garden. And in my garden, my thoughts are my seeds. So what type of thoughts am I planting and what type of plants am I growing? Am I growing weeds or am I growing roses? It definitely makes a difference, right? So when you think about your thoughts, take a second to really think about what type of things do I want to be growing and flourishing with my thoughts? Do I want to be hyping myself up? Do I want to be encouraging myself? Or do I want to be beating myself up and saying that I can't do something or I'm not good enough or whatever else? The way that you talk to yourself, the way that you think about yourself absolutely impacts the results that you will have. So remember, your thoughts do create your reality and you're in control of your thoughts. So do something about them. Okay, lesson number 3, and I'm going to hold your hand when I tell you this, but it is your responsibility. It starts and it ends with you. Now, that can be incredibly empowering and also really, really terrifying because at the end of the day, it's up to you. Now, the things that happen to you, or maybe the reason why you are where you are now, may not have been your fault, but getting yourself out of it is absolutely your responsibility. And at first, I didn't like that. I wanted somebody to come save me, to come fix it, to just make everything better. And I didn't want to have to do anything at all. I was tired. I was over it. I was at my wit's end. What do you mean I have to do more work? But when I made peace with that, things definitely changed. And here's the thing. It is hard to make change. It is hard to turn your life over. It is hard to start over. And that's exactly why most people don't do it. When you hear about people who hate their life or wish they could do something different or don't know what to do or feel stuck, a lot of the time it's because they're avoiding the things that they know they have to do because it's hard and nobody wants to do hard things. But at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to get you through. Pushing through the discomfort, pushing through the awkwardness, pushing through the I don't know what the heck is going on, and getting yourself to the other side is all required in order to change your life. And that is your responsibility. Nobody else is going to be able to do it for you. So once you make peace with that and you accept the fact that, yes, this all falls on me. But if you think about this in an empowering way, it means that you have control. And I think that's something that so many of us just wish we had. Full control of our lives, autonomy, and the power to make shit happen. So remember that. It does fall on you, but that's a good thing. Who would you rather be the boss of your life? The next thing, and the most important thing, I should have made this number 1, but self-compassion is key. You have probably heard me say this before if you follow me on any of my other social media. You cannot bully yourself into changing. Simple as that. If the self-critic in you was going to help, it would have helped by now. That's a drag. But no, seriously, you have to be nice. I hate to break it to you. You can't bully yourself into changing. You can't be mean. You can't push. You can't force. It's not going to work. When it comes to self-compassion, I always break it down to using the inner child. I always think of the youngest, sweetest, kindest, most innocent version of myself and say, would I say this to her? Or if it were my niece or my nephew or my friend, would I ever talk like that to them? Would I bully them? Or would I encourage them? What types of things would I say to help motivate them towards whatever goal they're working with? It would probably never be criticism. So why do we do that to ourselves? I'll wait. It just doesn't work. You have to be kind. You have to be compassionate. You have to be understanding. And that doesn't mean that you just be a pushover and let yourself get away with whatever. Don't hold yourself accountable. It means be kind in the accountability. It means be understanding and be empathetic towards yourself. Because, like I said, it's hard. Most people don't do the work of changing themselves and changing their lives for the better because it is hard. And when you're going through that, nobody wants to hear, you're not good enough, you suck, you're lazy. Nobody wants to hear that, including you. So don't do it. Be nice, be compassionate, and watch yourself go way further than you ever gone before. Okay, this is the last lesson. It's a 2-in-1, so maybe it's like 5 and 6. But the first is you are never alone. When I was going through this process, I thought I was the only person who ever experienced this dread, this emptiness, this loneliness, this lost and confusion. And I soon found out that actually, no, a quarter life crisis is a well-known thing. Your 20s is a crazy time, especially when you found yourself in a career that you hate and you're alone in a city that you've never lived in before. it makes sense for you to be feeling that way. And lots of other people have felt that way too. So don't isolate yourself in that. Talk to others, go online and see other people talking about the exact same thing that you've been through. And in the same vein, there are resources. Because other people have experienced this before, they've talked about it. I cannot tell you how many podcasts I feel like truly changed the trajectory of my life. One of them, You Are Not Your Brain. That episode, I recommend it to every single person I come across because it quite literally changed everything for me. I'll put up a couple of podcast episodes here that I really, really like that I would highly recommend. I'll also put them in the description box. But there are resources out there. There are books, there are podcasts, there are articles, there are blogs. Hell, even Reddit is good at this point. And you can just go on and realize, oh my goodness, there's not a single unique experience in the world. People have experienced this before and they have solutions. You can learn anything. So take it upon yourself to go find other people who have been through what you're feeling, talk to other people about it, and use the resources because it's out there. And all of the things that I'm naming are free, 100% free. So I would highly recommend going and looking for some podcasts, sitting down and listening and realizing you are not alone in what you're feeling. You do not have to isolate yourself in what you're feeling. And because of that, you will be able to find answers and you will be able to figure it out. So those are 5 lessons I learned after going through a quarter life crisis. It definitely was a doozy. I don't know if I would ever do that again. Hopefully I don't have a midlife crisis because I had the quarter life crisis early. That's my hope. I'll have to check back in with you guys. At some point, I will give a more detailed explanation of like how I realized I was having a quarter life crisis, the specific things that I did to get through it. But the things that I talked about today, if you implement these mindsets and you really think about them and see how they apply to your own life, those will really give you a good springboard to get started. And as usual, you can reach out to me, send me a DM, find me on TikTok. I've been posting every single day. Who is she? Find me on TikTok, find me on Instagram. Both of the names there are LaToya, and I will be back next week with another video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.